Hello everyone, I'm here today to do a tag, and this one is the original tag is from Jim, from Jim's books and reading and stuff, who is a very funny person if you have not checked out his channel. And I was tagged by Corny Ferriter, who is also amazing. But this is the A to J tag. Jim put together a tag that is A to J, then he goes K to R, I think, and then S to Z. And I decided that even though Corny only tagged me in the A to J, I'm just going to do the whole alphabet. So this might be a long video. You will know because you will have a timestamp. I don't. But yeah, if it's very long, just go grab a cup of tea and let's go through the alphabet. So the first question is, A is for author. Which author have you read the most books by? And I am not completely sure, but one author that I have read many books by is Isabel Allende. I have read several of them when I was younger, and I have read several of them when I was a little bit older. I haven't read some of hers for a few years now, but I have read a lot of them. She has a ton of books out, so I would say that probably Isabel Allende. B is for Black History Month. What are you reading for Black History Month? So for Black History Month, I am going to read The Confessions of Franny Langton by Sarah Collins. I probably will read something else that is from Black people, but this one is the one that I'm specifically picking up this month because of Black History Month. So yeah, and this is about a Jamaican slave, or free slave, that is accused of a crime she can commit, and how she goes about getting free again. As far as I understand, maybe I'm wrong, but that's what I understood that it's about. Then C is what are you currently reading? And something that I'm currently reading in audio is The Splendid and the Vile by Eric Larson, which is history about the Second World War, and it focuses quite a lot on Churchill. And this one is for the Booktube prize, so I cannot tell you if I like it or not right now. What is your drink of choice while reading? And that would be tea. It's always tea. The only two things I drink ever are tea and water. So yeah, it's tea. If you ask me in summer, it would be water. That's it. The next question is ebook or physical. So I prefer physical books. However, I prefer the format in whichever I can access the book. I am not very picky about this. If I can access a book in ebook and not in physical form, and I really want to read it, I will just read the ebook. No problem for me. But yeah, if I can choose, if I have both options, I will go for the physical book. F is for favorite fictitious character, and for that I've chosen Patricia from the Overstory. She's a scientist and she's amazing. So yeah, what else do you have to know? Next question is for G, Georgia. Do you know any famous Georgians? Georgian is not a culture that we are exposed a lot, and I didn't even know that Stalin was Georgian until Jim said so. But I know now. So Stalin, I know. And the other thing that I read last year that I absolutely loved was The Eighth Life by Nino Hartishvili, which is set up in Georgia. So I guess Nino Hartishvili is another person from Georgia that I know. H is horror. Is there a book that really scared you? I normally don't read horror because I am very easily scared. But one book I remember not only scared, but it was just very gross, was The Things We Lost in the Fire. I don't remember the name of the author, but I will put it here. But yeah, that book was very graphic. I vividly remember I was in Tokyo's underground in 2017, and I remember I was reading that book and it was making me feel so sick. I had to close it and look at the view for a while because I was not handling it well. So I guess I would say that. Um, he says, I don't know, Italy, India, Ireland, intelligent, whatever you like. And I went for a book from India, and that is A Fine Balance by Rohan Mistry. This book was amazing. I loved it. It's about, it talks a lot about the caste system and about the the hardships that some Indian people go through, and I really, really loved it. So, highly recommend. Then Jay is what book have you just finished? And one that I have just finished is Rivertown by Peter Hessler, which is a memoir from the author on his time in China. K is for King. What is your favorite book about royalty, fiction or real? And for that, it's not exactly about royalty, but to be honest with you, I am 100% a Republican in the sense that I do not think that kings should exist at this point. I do not think that anyone should be considered higher just because of which family they're born into. So yeah, I I don't like royalty, but one that touches on royalty a little bit is Persepolis by Martin Satrapi, because this is at least the first part is set up in Iran when the Shah lost power, and the Shah is kind of the monarchy of Iran. So I'm saying Persepolis, and this is a graphic novel memoir of the author's life in Iran when she was little, and the Shah went down out of power, and then when she came to Europe and what that experience was like. So yeah, I'm just going for this one. L is for librarian. Who is your favorite librarian? And I love libraries. If you have been here for a while, you know that most of the books I read come from the library, at least until lockdown closed them down, which I'm very sad about. But I love all the librarians in my library. They are always super nice and super helpful. I especially like there's always these old women that are volunteers that they just look like I could hug them all the time. Maybe that's creepy, I don't know. But I love those old women that don't have a job anymore and they just hang out in the library. I probably will become one of those when I grow old. So maybe that's why I like them. M is for magazine. Do you have any magazine subscription or favorite magazine? I don't read magazines anymore. I do pick up the magazine that they give in the ecological supermarket because it has a lot of recipes and I sometimes try some of them. But when I was younger, I used to read The New Scientist. Every time I would fly, and it was my treat every time I was in an airport buy New Scientist. But yeah, I don't fly anymore this year, but also there are so many e-copies of everything that I don't buy physical magazines anymore. N is for news. Where do you usually find your news? I don't watch a lot of news. I find the news cycles very exhausting and not very fulfilling. I always think that if there is something really big that is gonna happen, I will know, and someone will tell me. I don't have to watch news. But since the corona started, I have been a little bit more interested on what was going on around. So I have started to listen to the NOS podcast, and the NOS is the Dutch national television and radio station thing, like the BBC in the UK. We have NOS, and yeah, I have been listening to their podcasts to get some news, just to keep in touch of I mean, there has been so many things happening in the Netherlands lately that are important and I need to know about that. I find they do deep dives like 15-20 minutes talking about one single topic, and I find that a little bit more constructive than 2 minutes flash news of something. So yeah, that's how I normally get my news. Always for of I don't have a prompt for O. That's what he said. So I'm going to make my own prompt, and that is going to be orange, an orange book. And for that, I'm going to go with Say Nothing by Patrick Radden Keefe. This doesn't look super orange, but it is very orange. And this one is about the travels in Northern Ireland. Um, and yeah, basically, it just follows. It's a very interesting way to tell the story because it's kind of like a true crime, but with much more substance. It's not just about this one case, it's about this one case which was part of the travels in Northern Ireland, and then through that it's able to show what the impact was for both sides. So I think it was a very smart way to do it because it's very compulsively readable, but at the same time it's giving you a lot of information of how the travels happen and what they meant for people in Northern Ireland. P is for Penguin. Which is your favorite publisher? I don't normally pay a ton of attention to the publisher. I don't really know a lot of publishers, like which book is published with which publisher, but one publisher that I know I love, especially for non-fiction, is Verso. They publish a lot of very activist-like and very reactionary books, and they always have these amazing discounts in their website lately. Even when there was the Black Lives Matter protest, they were giving one book a week, I think, about the black oppression for free on their website. And I downloaded a couple of those. So yeah, I think Verso is doing an amazing job. Q is for queer. Who is your favorite LGBTQIA plus author? And for this one, I would say Akweke Emezi. I have only read Freshwater from them, I think. But I really like that book and I want to read more of them. Recently, my library got the ebook of Pet, so I have that saved for sometime soon. And also The Death of Vivek Oji. So yeah, I'm looking forward to read some of those. R is for Russia. Do you have a favorite novel, poem, or writer from Russia? And I do have a favorite book from Russia, that is Lolita by Vladimir Nabokov. And this is, I know it's a very controversial one because it's about a pedophile from the point of view of the pedophile. And it makes you feel sympathy for him, which is not something that we normally want to feel for a pedophile. But I think it explores that relationship and the way that these toxic relationships happen, and what are the feelings that we have to address when we address these relationships. And also the writing, I think it's brilliant. So yeah. S is for science fiction. What is your favorite science fiction novel? And I think I'm going to go classic with this and say the Foundation series of Isaac Asimov. I remember it from when I was younger. That's when I read most of the science fiction I've read. And I really liked it. And I actually want to reread it at some point in my life. I don't know when, but sometime. T is for trope, tag, and many other things. And he again says to create our own prompt if we want to. And I went for my favorite trope, and my favorite trope I think is family sagas. I really like reading these big books about a whole family and see how the history evolves, and see how the traumas of one generation go pass through many other generations. I think that is a very interesting way to tell a story and get the idea of a certain place and a certain time frame. U is for unicorn. What is your favorite mythical animal? And for this one, I'm going to say the Ents from the Lord of the Rings. You know, those like tree-like creatures. Yeah, I really like those. I like nature and I like forests, and the idea of these ever wise trees that can move is very attractive to me. V is for Violet. What is your favorite Violet book? I went to my bookshelves looking for Violet books. I didn't have a lot of them, but I found an old one that I used to love, and this one is it's called Los escarabajos vuelan al atardecer by Maria Gripe. It's a YA middle grade mystery book that I read like a million times when I was younger, and it's quite violet, so I'm going to go for that. W is for why. If you have a booktube channel, why did you start it? And if you don't have a booktube channel, why don't you start one? That is a question I would like to ask several people. But I did start my YouTube channel. Well, I have been watching booktube forever, and I have tried to start a channel a couple of times, and I couldn't find the way in which I felt comfortable talking about books to a camera. And this time it seems that it has stuck, and I found a way in which I can tell things that are important to me. And I started it because of several reasons. I mean, I have been watching booktube for a long time, and I had been thinking about starting a channel several times, and one of the things that stopped me was time, and obviously in lockdown I have a lot more time, so that was solved. But the other thing that was stopping me from starting a channel was for privacy reasons. Like, I didn't want to be exposed in that way. I'm not big in social media, and I didn't feel like I wanted to be another number in an algorithm, if that makes sense. But at some point, I thought, I mean, I have Google and I have all these things that track me anyway, so I might just as well use them for something I care about. So I started my YouTube channel. X is for Xenocide. What novel featuring a Xenocide interested you, if any? I have read the Ender's Games trilogy. Is it a trilogy series by Orson Scott Card that has a Xenocide, and I found that very interesting. I mean, I know it's problematic. It's quite, and the author is also problematic. But I found the story compelling, and it has a Xenocide, and the way it's told, it's very interesting how they arrived to that point. And I don't know if a genocide counts as a Xenocide, but if it does, I would also recommend 100 Days by Julian Okot-Vitek, which is a poetic telling of the Rwandan genocide. She has like a poem for every day of those 100 days in which the genocide happened. And it's really beautiful and really interesting if you're interested in that. Why is for YouTube? Apart from booktubers, what YouTube channels do you watch? And he says maximum of 3, but I'm just going to name 2. The first one is Foil Arms and Hog, which is a comedy channel, and they make a lot of very short sketches about current things, but also about other things. Like they had a couple of very funny ones about Brexit. They also had one about something like if vaccines were countries, but then they also have things like if parts of the body were people, or if rooms of your house were people, or like trying to study in quarantine, things like that, and they are very funny. And the other channel I watch is Pick Up Limes, which is a quite big channel for food, basically, food preparation, and she's a nutritionist, the girl that runs it, and she also lives in the Netherlands. So yeah, and when we were able to travel, she also had a couple of travel vlogs and stuff like that, and I really like her aesthetics, and also the recipes tend to be quite good. So yeah. And Z is for Zero. What is your favorite book about nothing? And I hesitate saying that this is about nothing, but I would say The Remains of the Day by Kazuo Ishiguro. It's a book in which nothing happens, but it's about a lot of things. And it has a lot of commentary on class in the UK, and it is very, very, very British. But nothing really happens. Like, it's an extremely, extremely slow-paced book. And when I read it, it was boring at times, but it was hilarious in other times. I think you have to be in the right frame of mind to read this one, but if you are, it's quite enjoyable, I would say. So yeah, that was the tag. That was A to Z. If you made it this long, congratulations. Give yourself a thumbs up in the comments. I'm going to tag Loren from Reading from a Card and Pauline at Dancing Lawn. And you can do it in 3 parts and you can do it in 1, however you prefer. But I would also like to know your answers if I have not tagged you. So yeah, that's all for now. Thank you for watching, and until next video, bye!